We're going to dive into one of the hardest, most complex questions we face as believers. If God is so sovereign, so good, so kind, why do we suffer? Why is there so much wickedness in this world? If you ever find yourself wondering this, you're not alone. These questions strike at the heart of our faith, and they are questions every one of us at some point have wrestled with. I think it's easy to say God is good when everything in our life is going well, right? But when life gets tough, when we face pain, betrayal, loss, or even see injustice all around us, it's natural to wonder, God, where are you? If you're all powerful, if you're doing all the loving things, why do you allow us to go through these things? Let's start with a simple truth that doesn't always feel simple. We live in a broken world. Sin has distorted God's creation, including pain, suffering, and yes, even wickedness. This isn't because God isn't sovereign, it's because humanity was given free will, and that choice led to the brokenness that affects everything around us. God did not create evil, but here's the thing, God's goodness and sovereignty doesn't disappear because we suffer. In fact, God can use our suffering to bring about something beautiful, even if we don't understand it at the moment. In the Bible, we see over and over again that suffering serves a purpose, one that often drives us closer to God. Let's look at James 1 verse 2 to 4, which says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be matured and complete, not lacking anything. So what does that mean? It means that through suffering, God is refining us. He's teaching us to trust Him, rather than relying on ourselves or the things of this world. It's a process that is often painful, but it's necessary if we are to grow spiritually. I know it's hard. I know it's uncomfortable to think that God allows suffering in our life to shape us. We want answers right now. We want relief. But sometimes God's answer isn't immediate because He's doing something deeper within us. I want to ask you a question. What's your relationship with God when things aren't going your way? Do you trust Him only when He blesses you? Or can you trust Him even in silence, even in pain? And here's another question. If God doesn't answer your prayer in the way you are hoping, will you still love Him, serve Him, seek Him? These are the hard questions that suffering brings to the surface. Suffering can reveal what's in our hearts, our fears, our doubts, even our tendency to try to control things on our own. Suffering equips us to serve others. In 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 3 to 4, Paul writes about how the comfort we receive from God in our suffering allows us to comfort others. Can we look at someone else in our eyes and say, I know what you're going through. God was there for me, and He will be there for you. Maybe that's why it's important to share our struggles with others, not in a way of self-pity, but in a way to show that God has carried us. By sharing, we create a safe space for healing, for connection, and for hope. There's another beautiful truth about suffering that might be hard to hear in the midst of pain, but is worth holding on to. Suffering can drive us to see the goodness of God more clearly. It's those times when our strength runs out, when our plans fall apart, that we realize our absolute need for Him. Sometimes, suffering brings us to the end of ourselves so that we can discover how awesome and powerful God is. Romans 8:18 says, I consider that our sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed to us. Suffering will focus us on eternity. When we suffer, we're reminded that the world is temporal, that one day every tears will be wiped away, and that God has a greater glory in store for us. So, if in a season of suffering right now, know this, that God sees you. He hasn't abandoned you. If you can't see it now, He's working in your life, shaping you, growing you, and drawing you closer to Him. Our God is not a God who ignores our pain. He enters into it with us, walking beside us, carrying us when we can't go anywhere further on our own. Remember that God is sovereign, yes, but He's also intimately present with us. He's with us in the suffering, and He's leading us towards a hope that far outweighs the pain we feel right now. And always remember, even in our suffering, God is faithful. And have an amazing day.